Hey folks, welcome back to Green Iron TV. So it's snowing, cold, and miserable outside, and that means we've moved inside, and I'm down in my little work area here at the house, and we're gonna start building some models for the winter. So first up, we have a very special build. This is going to be a tribute build for one of the vehicles my father drove while he was stationed with the 313th ASA. As they monitored Cuba for the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that is going to be a M37 Dodge truck with the AN MLQ-24 comms box in the back, and we're going to have to get creative here. Roden does make the 1/35th scale M37 in a plastic kit. I have found HobbyLink makes several of the different comms box for the back of the M37. So this one is their AN MSQ-85 audio visual. Of the two that they offered, this is the one that's going to have the most close configuration to what I need. And I am going to have to modify this quite a bit. This build is going to require quite a bit of extensive scratch building. And we are going to build this particular vehicle. I'll put a picture up for you. And as you can see, it's got quite a few radar and antenna dishes. And so to expand up off of the comm box in the back, I have ordered some Plastistruck girder pieces so that we can emulate the girders of the of those antennas. I have a couple different sizes so that we can basically build it. It was an expandable piece, and so you had the one piece and then the other piece expanded out of it. So this will give us a pretty accurate representation when I get it all worked out and lined up and done. The other thing we're going to add in, so we have a DEF model. This is a USMC tank crew member from Korea 1950. I have this great picture of my dad in almost the exact same pose, leaning against the front bumper of a Deuce and a Half with a comm box on it as they were getting ready to head from Fort Bragg down to Key West, Florida for the Cuban Missile Crisis. He is dressed very, very similar. Of course, he's just in a white t-shirt, but he's in this very same pose. So we are actually going to morph this. We're going to change the figure around a little bit to make it a little more accurate for the early 60s U.S. Army. And then we'll pose that with the vehicle, with him in that pose. And it should make a really neat piece. And we're looking forward to getting to it. Now, I have built several of these M37 kits before from Roden. They're a decent kit. They can be a little finicky and a little not hard, but they take a good patience to build. They actually take somebody with a little bit of forethought to think ahead a few steps, just to make sure things fit together well in the end when you combine everything. And of course, throughout all this, I do have I have plenty of pictures, and some of these are actual pictures from my father. This one dated February of '63 of the truck setup, and this is kind of the look we're going for. We're going to go for looking just like this truck. This was pictures of the convoy on the way down, with everything folded up, but that's going to give us some good reference points. We have pictures of him, and you can see the unit in the background. Gives us some good ideas about the uniforms and the very back of it. We have, like I said, then we just have a couple other reference photos and stuff like that that we'll just keep on hand here, because the best way to build something accurately is going to be through some reference photos. So that's all we got coming up. I know it's not the typical working on the real stuff down in the garage, but here in the winters in Michigan, you know, we have to move inside and do some of the stuff that we can do realistically. And I like to build scale models, and so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start working. This is probably going to be a multi-point or part series, because it is going to be, like I said, it is going to take quite a bit of scratch building, and we are going to have to work on that for quite a while. So more than likely, we're going to start part one here. We're probably going to start with building out the basics of the M37 truck, and then from there we can work on into the scratch building with the AN MLQ-24 shelter, and get that all set. So that's what we got going. So like always, just want to say thanks a lot, and remember, hey, give us a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate all that. So thanks a lot, guys. Okay, so we are going to get started with the Roden M37 kit. We have all the sprues laid out here. I have built this truck before. I've built several copies of it. So I do know some of the little ins and outs and tricky pieces to do with this. So we are on a little bit of an advantage there that we have done that. And we are going to get started, and we're going to kind of build this in some little modules, and then assemble it and be able to put the shelter in the back. So that's how we're going to get rolling. Okay, so one of the things they want you to start with is the wheels, and we definitely know we're not going to do that because we don't want to put the wheels together and have to paint the wheels individually separate. So we're going to skip the wheels. We're going to move in. They want you to start on the axles and the transfer case, the motor, and so we'll start on all that type of stuff. So start with these axles and get them rolling. All right, so these trucks do have a posable steering knuckle, which is neat and all, but luckily in the pictures I have, the truck's sitting there with the wheels straight, so we're going to go ahead and build it with the wheels straight. Okay, so one of the things I remember from the last time we built this is the way the transfer case fits in here gets a little fiddly. And so I want to go ahead and basically get the chassis ready, and this will need to be kind of fit with the chassis so that it fits in proper, because these little pinhole alignments here line up like this, and then so it's going to be much easier mounting that way than if you try and mount these pieces. And because if you don't get the angle just right and you have them on or off just a little bit, then none of it lines up with here. So that's, that is one of the little kind of fitment issues that I have with this kit. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why we're gonna think ahead and install stuff in a little bit different order than what they predict. And I am gonna look. I wanted to see the orientation at which they place that so that I can preset these in the proper spot. And so obviously the small one's going to go here towards the outside or towards the passenger side. So we'll know that we can go ahead and get that one set, and then the bigger one goes to the inside. So that'll allow us to do that. Now, of course, installing this transfer case now means that later when we go to install the drive shafts, that's going to be a little more difficult because we're not going to be able to trap those in on the proper angle, but I think we'll be just fine. We can use a couple tricks to do that, but getting this transfer case lined up and in its proper spot is the more important piece, because without it, then the body doesn't sit on proper above it. So we want to make sure we get this set in correctly. Alright, that gets it all lined up good, so perfect. So that allows us to now move back, and we'll go back and we'll start putting the motor together. see, once again, the instructions aren't very clear. And so I started to set this piece and then realized it comes to the outside of the carburetor. Of course, one of the things too, we are not going to super detail this motor because once it's in and hidden underneath everything, no one's going to see it anyway. So we're not going to worry about it too terribly much. We'll basically build it like they specify, but like I said, we're not going to stress over it. It's not even going to be seen. Once again, some of this stuff is so fiddly on this little model. And they do goofy stuff. So you're in the middle of building the motor, now they want you all of a sudden to build the suspension, and we're going to continue on the motor. And of course, because we know this is going to be a winch truck, we are going to mount the PTO for the winch. Have that all installed, and should hopefully then all line up. And they want you to pre-install this drive shaft, and I actually, you know what, I'm going to set that aside because I think I am going to wait and put that drive shaft in after I have the motor mounted. I'm not going to put the air cleaner on right at the moment, and I'm not going to put the fan on right at the moment, or the belts, because we'll do that a little bit later. And so we'll set that up off to the side. We'll work on this suspension. So one of the things I know is from building this before, the suspension on this truck is very fiddly. It doesn't go together well, and it doesn't line up well, and so we're going to make sure we do our best to try and make this all line up the best we can. going to start with these two front springs, get those mounted. So one of the things you want to pay attention to is these rear springs. And the fact that in their drawings, it looks like you should be lining up there. You got to make sure you don't. You're lined up there. Otherwise, these trucks will sit way too tall. Okay, one of the things I know from years past is if you try and follow the instructions on how to build the cab, it will not ever fit together really well. So you actually have to go ahead and build the doors from a few next steps, and we'll build the rear panel, then we'll put the doors in so that we have the right measurement, and then you can put these uprights, and then you should have all the right measurements. So we'll start by adding the rear panel here. Okay, now by having our doors, we know this exact spacing to get up to this piece here. Otherwise, they want you to just install this piece without knowing. And so if you're just a touch off, you know, you might never get these doors to fit in there. So we're gonna do the doors here, and that's going to give us our spacing. We can then go back and add the details on the doors, the door handles, inside and out, do all that stuff later. But this gives us our exact spacing, and this is what we need. So we're going to start by gluing the door here along the bottom. All right, and now we have the perfect spacing. We'll repeat that on the other side, and we'll have the basic structure for the cab all figured out. And our cab will be straight and fit proper. So that's how you get the cab nice and aligned and straight for this truck. Otherwise, if you try and build it how the instructions want you to build it, you are going to have a mess. So. Okay, now let's finish up some steps here. Let's get this motor mounted. And I've known, this. Like I said, I've built this before. I know this. Getting this motor aligned in here can be a bit of a pain. So we want to take our time. Get it nice and straight. We have the fan we'll add, and I know from past, aligning this piece can be a bit of a pain. And it's one of those things I may not even bother to put the fan in there because you won't be able to see it. So we're probably just going to leave that out. And I know before that can create a little bit of an issue because if the way it fits in, so if it's misaligned just a little bit with between this and the motor, it can cause some fitment issues. So it might do, I just might, I might just, I'll shave the pin off the back, and then I'm just going to glue it in the radiator. So now when we put it up there, we'll still be able to see the fan in there, if you're looking closely, but we don't have to worry about that as being an alignment issue. Because like I said, the fan can dictate and not fit perfectly up and which moves this up and down, which when that happens, that throws off the alignment of all the front fenders. So we'll do it like that, and that should make a good solution. We got this exhaust to put in. And one of the things I have done is the very tip here, probably very, very hard to see in the cameras, but I have drilled that out with a little drill. Well, that takes care of all kind of the major assembly on the chassis. So we'll let that set up for a little bit, move on and keep building some of the body. Okay, with the main components of the chassis built, main structure of the cab, we'll start building out the bed. I've gone ahead, I've pre-assembled some of it here, and we'll keep working it along and get it all put together. So one of the things we're not going to do is we are not going to install the tailgate in the up position. We are actually going to install this with the tailgate down. And so we'll do that at a little bit later date so we don't bust it off easy. So we'll set that off to the side. Okay, now we're going to work on probably one of the trickiest parts of this Roden kit, and that is getting the cab mounted and the front fenders mounted. It's one of the things that kind of drives me nuts with this kit. There's not like a good pin in, markings. There's no positive location, and it doesn't take much to get the cab not sitting correct. Then the fenders don't sit correct, and the whole thing's all out of whack. So we're gonna do our best here and see if we can get it kind of straight and see if we can get this thing to kind of line up. We'll let that one set for a minute, let that kind of cure up a little bit, and then we'll see if we can accomplish the other side, see if we can get it straight. All right, that gets the front end in basically some shape. The rear box will fit on. So we're getting close on having this main chassis kind of all wrapped up. Okay, we've pretty much finished up the major construction of the chassis. Everything's pretty well built up. I did put the tailgate on, added some fine chains for tailgate chains. Like I said, we are not going to glue the hood on until at the very end, so that we can do our hood numbers easier. I have built the soft top, and of course I went and opened up out of the box the shelter that's going to go on the bed. So that is looking pretty good at the moment. I think at the point now I'm ready to go ahead and get this thing all on primer, or the main body and chassis. I have a lot of work to do on the shelter. We got to build the stanchions, and we're going to have to do some modification work. This input port is in the wrong position. It needs to be up here, so we're actually going to cut that out, relocate it up to there. There's an air conditioning unit in this location on the original truck, so we'll fill that in, and a couple little pieces like that. We got to cap that. We're going to have to cap a few pieces up front, but all in all, this should turn out to be pretty good. We got to shave these off the side. These aren't those little brackets aren't on the main one, so we're going to get started on that. But first, we're going to go ahead and get this chassis and main construction of the M37 into primer. Well, folks, that's probably going to wrap up this episode. We have got the M37 all on primer. It's pretty well built. There's just a handful of the small details, door handles, toe shackles, stuff like that, stuff that gets easily knocked off, that I didn't want to put on yet. But we have this primarily wrapped up. It'll be ready for some paint. We will be painting it with Gillespie 24087, same paint that I use on the military vehicles. So it's going to give it the nice proper color. And from here, we're going to end up moving on, and we are going to start to build up the shelter, the comm shelter. This comm shelter from Hobby Link is absolutely beautiful. It is going to look stunning in the back, especially once I get all the bits and pieces made for it. And I'm looking forward to that. But that's going to be coming up on another episode here at Green Iron TV. I do want to thank you guys for sticking with me here. Yeah, I know this is not working on the real stuff, but like I've said all along, hey, welcome to Michigan. It's winter, it's cold, and it's hard to work on the big stuff in the garage in the winter. So, like usual, I progress into the indoors, and I build some small scale fine models. And this is the project we're working on right now. So, stay tuned. There's probably going to be a couple more episodes on this, because this is going to be a pretty extensive build to build the truck that my father drove. And it should turn out really, really good once we get it all put together and set up. So thank you guys for watching, and of course, take a moment, check out the link down below for the Green Iron TV merchandise store. There's hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, all kinds of cool things in there. So stop out there, check that out. And of course, like always, I want to thank you for watching the videos, and hope you've had a great day. So thanks, and see you later.